Hey everyone, in this episode of Under the Radar. Hey everyone, this is Tyler from Craft & Taylor. In this episode of Under the Radar, we're going over a 1960s Clebar-Zodiac chronograph. The reference on this watch is 73321, and it's actually a chronograph that's made by Heuer. So it's kind of got a bunch of different companies on it. Very cool watch nonetheless, very under the radar, and very excited to show this one to you. So there's a couple of different things going on with this watch. It's branded Clebar. The case back is signed Zodiac. It has a Zodiac reference number. The watch itself was actually made by Heuer, and it also has a Heuer reference number. So let's try to kind of dissect this a little bit and talk about the watch itself and figure out where this watch sits in terms of horological history. So nicknamed the poor man's Carrera, the Zodiac 73321 or 591833 is actually a rebranded Heuer model of the same reference. And it gets that sort of nickname because it has such a close resemblance to the Heuer Carreras of a very similar era and prior to this era of the 50s and 60s. The Zodiac-Heuer relationship is actually a pretty big one. Zodiac actually used a lot of Heuer's watches for their own production line, whether it be with like their divers, chronographs, what have you. We see that sort of cross-pollination between Heuer and Zodiac pretty frequently in the 60s and the 70s. The name Clebar itself dates back to 1925 when it most frequently associated itself with like stopwatches and rally timers, generally for autosport. However, in the 1960s, Clebar and Zodiac became intertwined, and there are numerous watches produced with Zodiac branded cases with Clebar branded dials. I don't know how much this came into play for maybe import to, say, the US or around Europe. I don't know the history of it too much, but there isn't too much out there, but it is just kind of something that's interesting to note on how deep this watch goes with the rebranding. I think is kind of cool and kind of just a funny aspect of this watch, but itself being really impressive as it is. And touching on the watch more specifically that's on my wrist, it's in probably the best condition you'll ever be able to find a 73321 because this was a more economical model. It was often worn quite heavily, and because they did have a Valjoux movement in them, they were super functional. So the people that were buying these watches were using them. And for the most part, when you're finding these watches, they're in pretty well-worn condition, which is, in my opinion, really cool. I like to see a watch that shows its previous lives, and you don't have to break in that watch at all. It's just ready to go, is what it feels like to me personally. Premier examples, kind of time capsule examples, I think also definitely have their place within vintage watch collecting and just watch collecting in general. And I would say that this is definitely a time capsule example. The case itself is unpolished, maybe worn only a few times. It's in really incredible condition, retaining its original pushers, its original unsigned crown, the case back, and it's just in really stunning condition. I love the way the 73321 fits on the wrist. It fits very classically, very similar to a Heuer Carrera of the era. It's not too thick due to the manual Valjoux 7733 movement. It has some dimension to the semi-domed crystal, and all around it's just a killer classic aesthetic. The reverse panda dial with that red sweep seconds hand, chronograph hand in the center there is a perfect color combination. It feels just dressy, just sporty enough to kind of fit in any sort of dress situation. And this specific example, kind of doubling down on its condition and its time capsule ability, it has its original box and papers with its original price tag, the original Clebar booklet that kind of shows their like current models, including like stopwatches and other chronographs and sport watches. Most of these actually were either Heuer produced or Zodiac produced. So it's pretty cool to see this along with the watch. I really love this box quite a bit. It's very, I don't want to say like Victorian, but it feels very regal. It's like kind of a nice condition box for a $90 watch of the era. I love the branding on the inside. I love how it says it's a Clebar watch produced by Zodiac. I think it would be even funnier if like in small handwriting, it said also produced by Heuer or something like that, but it's just a really great looking box. And this one also has its original guarantee. It doesn't have like a serial number and anything like that. It's just there. If you need to have it serviced, this is what you do. Kind of warranty that all watches come with these days. I think kind of like what we talked about in the beginning of this video is why this watch is so under the radar. If you want to reduce it down, it's like a watch of a watch of a watch. And I think that's just a little humorous, but also kind of cool that this was a very prized possession by somebody. Even though it was seen as more of an economical watch and wristwatch, it was cherished enough to not be worn that much, and for the original owner to have saved all of his accessories as well. These watches aren't going to be $10,000 someday. I would be very surprised if that happened. However, they're very fun to collect, they're very fun to wear, and they give you a very similar vibe to the Heuer Carrera. And they also just have really tried and true movements on the inside of them. They look great and they're really fun to just wear on a weekend or have as a daily driver. This one in particular is for sale on our website at craftandtailor.com. I would say go there to check it out to get a little bit more details on it. But with that, I want to say thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at craftandtailor. And if you have watch questions, we're here to help. You can drop us a line at info@craftandtailor.com. Thanks a bunch. See you in the next one. Wow, I was doing so good.
Yeah, man.
This is what happens to me. It's like one word that I get caught on. I don't want to say bubble.